18th chapter, killing of the demon known as Pralambasura. After the incidents of extinguishing the devastating fire, Krishna, being surrounded by his relatives, friends, cows, calves, and bulls, and being glorified by singing of them, entered again Vrindavan, which is always full of cows. While Krishna and Balaram was enjoying life in Vrindavan, in the midst of the cowherds boys, girls, and cowherds men, gradually the season changed into summer. The summer season in India not very much welcome. Western countries, they prefer a place where it is warm, but India, when there is summer, the temperature is very high, and therefore people do not like it very much. But in spite of excessive heat of the summer outside, in Vrindavan, everyone is pleased to the man because the season appears to be just like spring. And this is possible only on account of Lord Krishna and Balaram's residing there. And they are even controller of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. In Vrindavan, there are many falls, always pouring down water, and the sound is so sweet that it covers the sound of the crickets. And the water being sprinkled over the forest, it looks always very green and beautiful. That's why the inhabitants of Vrindavan are never disturbed by the scorching heat of the sun, the high temperature of the summer season, because the lakes of Vrindavan, there are all round green grasses and various kinds of lotus flower blown. All of them are known as Kalhar in Utpal. And the air blowing in Vrindavan is carrying the flavored dust of those little lotus flowers. The waves of Jamuna and the lakes and the particles of water from the waterfalls, when they touch the bodies of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, automatically they feel a cooling effect. Therefore, practically, they have no disturbance on account of summer season. Vrindavan is such a nice place wherein flowers are always blooming, various kinds of decorated deers, birds are chirping, the peacocks are crowing and dancing, bees are humming, the cuckoos are singing so nicely in 5 kinds of tunes, cranes are in such a nice, beautiful forest of Vrindavan. Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, pleased in blowing his flute and accompanied by his elder brother Balaram and other cowherds, boys and cows, enter to enjoy the atmosphere. Thus, in the midst of green, newly grown leaves of the trees, these flowers resembling the peacock feather, garlanded by a bunch of such flowers and decorated by the saffron-colored chalk on their body, both Ram and Krishna, accompanied by their cowherds boy friends, sometimes were dancing, sometimes they were singing, and sometimes wrestling with one another. When Krishna was dancing, some of the cowherds boys were singing, and some of them were playing on the flute, and some of them were bugling made from higher planets to assist Krishna in his pastimes. Now, all these demigods got in the dress of the cowherd's boy were encouraging Krishna in his dancing as if one artist eulogizes another artist. Both Rama and Krishna, up to that time, there was no haircutting ceremony. Therefore, their bunch of hair was clustered around like the crow's hair, and they were playing with their cowherd's boy friends, sometimes hide and seek, sometimes tug of war, sometimes jumping, sometimes fighting with one another, sometimes while other friends were chanting and dancing, Krishna was eulogizing them with such words as, my dear friends, you are dancing and singing very nicely. Sometimes they were playing balls, catching within the grief such fruits as bale and amloki. Sometimes they were playing like blind bees, challenging, touching with one another, and sometimes they are imitating the forest deers and various kinds of birds. Sometimes they were joking one another by imitating the crowing sound of the frogs, and sometimes they enjoyed swinging underneath a tree. Sometimes they would play like king and his subjects amongst themselves. In this way, Rama, Krishna, along with all their cowherds, boy friends, played all kinds of recognized sporting to enjoy the soothing atmosphere of Vrindavan, which was full of river, lakes, rivulets, fine trees, excellent fruit and flower gardens. This way were all the cowherds, boys, and Ramakrishna had engaged in their transcendental pastimes. One great demon of the name Pralambasura entered in their company with a desire to kidnap both Rama and Krishna from their company. Krishna, however, although he was playing the part of cowherd's boy, still he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and could understand everything, past, present, and future. As such, on Pralambasura's entering in their company, he began to think of how to kill the demon. And while he was thinking so externally, he received him as a friend, calling him, "Oh, my dear friend, it is very good that you have also come to take part in our pastimes." Krishna then called for all his friends and then ordered them that now we shall play in pairs. Now we shall challenge one another in such playing of pairs. On this proposal, all the cowherds assembled together, and some of them took the side of Krishna and some of them took the side of Balaram. And after this, they arranged how to play in duel. The proposal was that somebody would take other on his back as horse carries the master if one is defeated. The arrangement was made that in duel fighting, the defeated party will carry the victorious party on his back. In this way, they began playing, at the same time taking attention of the cows, and they began to proceed through the forest which was known as Bhandirvan. In that sport, the party of Balaram, accompanied by Siddham and Bishop, became victorious. custodians and the party of Krishna, helped by other boys, had to take each of them on their back. Thus they reached the extreme of the Mandi forest. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, being defeated, had to carry on his back Siddhama. Similarly, Bhadrasan carried Bishop, imitating them. The Pralambasura, who appeared there as a cowherd boy, had to carry Balaram on his back. The demon Pralambasura was the greatest amongst the demons, and he thought that Krishna was more powerful, and in order to avoid the company of Krishna, he carried Balaram farther away from the place where they were to get down. The demon Pralambasura was undoubtedly very strong and powerful. Still, he was carrying Balaram, who is compared with a mountain. Therefore, while carrying Balaram, he was feeling too much burden. Now he began to assume his real form of demon. Thus, when he appeared as in his real feature, he was decorated with golden helmet and earrings. Thus appeared just like the cloud with lightning lines over it, carrying the moon on the head. At that time, Balaram observed that his body was expanding up to the limit of the cloud, and his eyes were dazzling like blazing fire, and his cheeks were decorated with sharpened teeth, and his helmet and earrings began to appear like fiery brightness. Baladev was for the time being surprised by such appearance of the demon, and began to think himself, how is it that the carrier has changed his everything all of a sudden? When Balaram was settled up in his mind, and he could understand that he was being carried away from his friends by the demon with a view to kill him, immediately he struck the head of the demon with a strong fist, as if the king of the heavenly planet strikes the mountain with thunderbolt. Thus being stricken by the fist of Balaram, the demon fell down, just like a snake smashed on by his head, and he was vomiting blood from his mouth, and immediately the demon became unconscious and fell down, making a great sound as if a great hill was falling down, being struck by the thunderbolt of King Indra. And Pralambasura, the great demon, was thus killed by Balaram. At that time, all the cowherds boys rushed together there, being astonished by the ghastly scene. They began to enthuse Baladevji with the words, well done, well done. All of them began to embrace Balaram in great affection, and all of them were thinking that Balaram has returned from death. This way, all of them began to eulogize Balaram and offered their blessings of congratulation. The great demon Pralambasura, thus being killed, all the demigods in the heavenly planet became very well satisfied and began to shower flowers on the transcendental body of Balaram. They also began to offer congratulations to Balaram by saying, well done, well done. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta part of the 18th chapter, Krishna, in the matter of killing the Pralamba.